Well, there goes the undefeated season.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free where we get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for your support. It's your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Where we get started today is, frustrating way to see how UCLA lost this one. It was the Battle of Los Angeles, the battle, arguably, of two of the best teams in women's college basketball, UCLA-USC. It was a build-up as the Juju Watkins versus Lauren Betts showdown. Well, USC ends up winning this one 71-60. And with all the storylines, with everything, right? Juju Watkins came in with a chance with a national audience, maybe hidden behind Peacock, whatever, with a national audience to watch, came in and dominated. In this game, Juju Watkins scored 38 points, had 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and oh, by the way, 8 blocks. Nearly had a triple-double with everybody watching. A team that didn't have a player make a field goal for 2 whole quarters. USC didn't have a player outside of Juju Watkins make a shot from the field outside of Juju for 2 whole quarters, and she single-handedly dominated. All right. Now, we're all getting introduced. A lot of people are getting introduced to the fact that, there's this superstar. There's Paige Beckers. There's a lot of great players. Lauren Betts, I still think, needs more credibility. But in this game, Juju Watkins flat out dominated, including blocking 2 or 3 of Lauren Betts' last few shots. Like straight 1v1 blindside blocks. Juju was like stealing candy from a baby. She read, UCLA's driving to my side of the court. I am going to rip it and steal it. Oh, by the way, Juju Watkins had like 21 points in the first 15 minutes of the game. Played 38 minutes, only sat the last 30 seconds, and 40 seconds before that. Utter domination, right? Utter domination. 38 points. Like, there's nothing like her. And Lauren Betts had 18 points, 13 rebounds, couple of assists. But the Bruins couldn't get her to the basketball. And eventually, when they started feeding her deep in the post, UCLA's down 6-7 points in the fourth quarter. And she just wasn't making it. She was flustered. She was frustrated. USC did a great job early at denying her the basketball. Then the middle 2 quarters, when UCLA actually dominated this game, don't let the final score fool you. UCLA had a middle portion of this game where they're down 14, came all the way back, tied it. Juju had a basically buzzer-beating 3 at the end of the second quarter before UCLA came back, led by 5, heading into this fourth quarter, and then the Bruins fell asleep. The back-breaking sequence was when I believe Lauren Betts was off the floor. USC got 4 offensive rebounds in 1 possession in what was a 1-2 point game. And when they got 4 offensive rebounds, UCLA was blocking 3-4 shots, and they couldn't get the ball. UCLA never saw the lead again, anywhere close to sniffing at it. When USC had a 4 offensive rebound possession that led to free throws. And then some of the players started hitting threes, right? Then you had Kiki Rice almost getting and one to take the lead, and then USC hits a 3 on the other end, right, to take the lead back. Just those back and forth swings until they pulled away the final few moments. It was a game that pretty much lived up to the billing. USC led by as many as 14. UCLA in this game led by as many as 7, went on a mini run, led by as many as 7 with 90 seconds left to go in the third quarter, and then USC pulled away at the very end of that game. Like, Juju Watkins didn't get a lot of help. Her second best player in her roster, Kiki Iriafen, had 13 points on 4 of 14 shooting. A lot of that was layups late, was 1 of 10 to start the game. So Juju single-handedly dominated this game. Kennedy Smith, a standout freshman for the Trojans, was 1 of 8. UCLA had the depth. They are much deeper in my mind than USC, but they had no answer for Juju Watkins. They had none. They had moments where Juju was red hot in this game where she hadn't been in recent games. Watkins came into the game, I think the broadcast said, and I've touched on it, hadn't had a very good last 3 games. Had been 4 of 25 from 3. Well, you know what? The national spotlight was not on. You put this on, and the best players show up. Betts statistically came in, made her free throws, made an impact, all right? But when you're getting your shot blocked by a smaller defender, getting denied the basketball, it was a little rough. Even Kiki Rice had 15 points, 6 assists, 1 turnover. But UCLA in this game, I said there's 2 of 3 marks UCLA needs to hit to win this game. They had to, 1, win the turnover battle. In this game, UCLA had 20 turnovers. USC, who turns the ball over quite a bit as well, but they're very good at forcing turnovers, had 9. So UCLA had 11 more turnovers. USC had 21 points off of UCLA's turnovers. UCLA had 10. So both teams were really efficient at turning those turnovers into points. Well, when you have 11 more turnovers and USC had 11 points more off those turnovers in a game decided by 11, that is clearly the difference. I had been talking about how bad UCLA had been playing turnover-wise, and it was dangerous to go into a sold-out Galen Center, which was rocking, with celebrity status all around the court watching that game. And UCLA was in very big danger of losing this game, which they ended up doing because they can't take care of the basketball. Kiki Rice had 1 turnover in 33 minutes. Who are the turnovers? Lauren Betts with 4. Dugalich with 4. Quite a few shot clock violations. London Jones with a couple, right? Just some lack of awareness, poor passing, late shot clock situations where they just put themselves in poor predicaments where they're just trying to force feed Lauren Betts. UCLA didn't shoot the ball well from 3. They went 2 of 13. And in these games, to beat these teams where it's like single-handedly Juju Watkins almost beating you, Lauren Betts is really good. That's where London Jones comes in. She had 7 points, but it can't be the primary defender on Juju Watkins. Like, there's a huge height mismatch, and London Jones did her best, but Juju Watkins is going to eat that every time. I talked about the second key was UCLA needing more depth in this game. UCLA showcased it a little bit, but what UCLA did to beat USC the only time so far in the Juju Watkins era was they had somebody stand out. Janai Barker fouled out, had 10 points, was blowing kisses to the crowd, still had a couple of turnovers, but she was only on the court 18 minutes. She needed more time on the court outside of foul trouble. So I'm not sure if that counts. UCLA didn't have that player fully step up. Elena Arnosalo had a couple of turnovers in 11 minutes. I thought that was a player USC could target as far as forcing turnovers because they wanted everybody outside of Kiki Rice at forcing turnovers. And even then, they were almost stealing it when she was bringing it up the floor. 3, another key, Juju has had some big scoring outputs, but she has never shot this well against UCLA from 3. No, has not. In her first 4 games against the Bruins, she was 6 of 9. I thought if she shoots less than 15 free throws, UCLA's done something really well. Unfortunately, she shot 10 free throws, made most of those, and made 6 of 9 from downtown. Shot a lot of shots, so UCLA still had her watch Watkins go 12 of 26, but her dominance was clear, especially the assist down the floor late, in addition to a couple of steals. 1 steal. I believe she had more than 1 steal. Ridiculous. She just dominated this game single-handedly. And the Bruins have more answers, but none of those showed up. This was the first time UCLA gotten punched in the mouth. And that was the worry, right? When was UCLA going to get punched in the mouth? They have been messing with and flirting with disaster, right? Around this Valentine's Day holiday, they've been flirting with it a little bit, but they've never been square punched in the face. And USC came out and absolutely did that. And it was important that UCLA came out and responded. They did a great job to do that. But when adversity hits, when hit the fan, they didn't have an answer in the fourth quarter. They played really well for those middle quarters. And then Corey Close sat Lauren Betts in the middle portion of that fourth. USC got 4 straight offensive rebounds when Lauren Betts was not on the court. I'm pretty sure she wasn't on the court, but USC had a stretch. They had 4 straight offensive rebounds in 1 possession, and that killed the game. This was a game that was much closer than an 11-point game, but the swings were so vast, and UCLA in a road environment they didn't have an answer. They didn't have the shooting, the consistent shooting, and when one team as a player as dominant as USC did, even though they shot worse, they had more free throws made. UCLA missed 7 free throws, turned it over more. They had a rebounding advantage, but USC has a superstar. And the Bruins, they have a couple of really good All-Americans, really great players, but they had their moments where in order to match it, they needed their teammates to step up, like the Kiki Rices and Lauren Betts. They need their teammates to step up because that is how they'll beat SC. You can't go 1v1 now that we've seen this part 4 versus Juju Watkins. You're not going to do that. But you can go 5-on-2. and UCLA got beat by it. We'll talk more about it next for Locked On UCLA. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off, you don't want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, or you can say in the action, if you're looking for a bigger payout, you'll even combine your live bets into same game parlays. And you can use this live betting feature, keep you in for a live game rally, all these crazy things. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Again, to join today, go to FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All righty. This was a rough game. There was moments when you thought USC was going to blow UCLA out of the building. And then next thing you know, UCLA came right back and said, we are the #1 team in the country. And they looked like it. They really looked like it. I still think UCLA is deeper. But USC has something that most teams don't. Continual size, continual athleticism. Because they can sacrifice 2 or 3 offensive options. Like, look at the player who was guarding Lauren Betts. They were sacrificing offense to make sure Betts could not dominate this game. And they have multiple players that can go out and do that. And teams have started to figure out how to do this to UCLA. It started a few games ago. I think with the Minnesota game, that teams have started to work around. We're going to double team. We're going to make Betts' time in the paint a living hell. And UCLA is going to have to shoot better. UCLA got no shooting from Tamia Gardner. They had not the most efficient night from London Jones, a third leading scorer, a 10-point-per-game scorer in Gabby Jaquez, 2 of 8, 4 rebounds. That's a matchup where sometimes some of these Bruins on the wing are a little undersized, and they're not going to dominate if they're going on a backdoor, front door cut with Juju Watkins on that side of the floor defensively. They're not going to make those layups. They're not going to make those shots because at the end, she started picking up blocks in a hurry with the amount of backdoor blocks saying, no, not in my house. In the end, UCLA, man, they got the Juju Watkins treatment, and they could not come through with it. All right, Juju is now 3-1 versus UCLA. It's a new thing. This is a matchup. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? This could still happen not just once, not just twice. They could happen 3 more times this year. Legitimately, this matchup. It's happening at the end of the season in Pauley Pavilion. They could very easily meet in the Big Ten Tournament Championship game in Indianapolis, although travel could play a role for one or either side not making it. And then there's a real possibility that they can meet in the Final Four in the National Championship at some point in the NCAA tournament in what would be a highlight reel classic battle between 2 classic stars who played pretty well. Lauren Betts, her shooting numbers went off at the end of the game. She didn't make a field goal in the fourth quarter. Juju Watkins put in 8 points. Despite 25 first-half points, the Bruins quieted her, but then her involvement in the game took on a different shape, and she still dominated in that way. Lauren Betts had a very dominant stretch. USC was not able to get all those players playing defense with all these. They had 2 players in 3 or more personal fouls, or 3 or 4 players with 3 or more personal fouls. And Lauren Betts was able to dominate the early portion of this second half. And, oh well. 23-1. It sucks, but it was going to be a tall order to come in here playing as sloppy as they have been to win this game. You can point this to 2 things. Yeah, the other team's got one of the best players in the country, but what did USC truly do? The defense made a stand. It made UCLA struggle to play in the half-court offense. The Bruins need to play this game up-tempo or have much better, much clutch shooting. Now, the good thing for UCLA is they're not going to the Galen Center again. They're not going to play anywhere close to it. No, they're going to go to Pauley Pavilion, where it'll be sold out in a few weeks, and they should hopefully win that game. I had a feeling this series might take a similar shape to last year, where UCLA won the first game, and then USC won the next 2 in the second part of the regular season, and then won the Pac-12 tournament game. I could see that happening in this season, where UCLA makes their adjustments a few weeks later, gets their second shot, they're feeling it, they have to win it, they win it. UCLA only has to win one of these 2 regular season games because USC lost to Iowa. I'm still expecting UCLA to good things for the rest of the regular season. They're exposed because they're turning it over at a high clip, and there will be some very tough games on the road coming up for UCLA. They're going to be favored in every game, but they win that regular season finale against USC, Big Ten championship in the regular season, 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they're 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Those are all the things UCLA needs to worry about because they want to be the 1 seed overall playing in Spokane and not having to go to Birmingham as a 1 seed or a 2 seed. Under no circumstances do you want to go across the country during the NCAA tournament. After all the traveling in Big Ten play and for the Big Ten tournament, you want to stay on the West Coast for your first round hosting. UCLA is going to do that. So is USC. And who's going to get that 1 seed on the West side, right? They split it differently in the women's side. There's 2 regions playing on the eastern side of the U.S. and 2 regions playing on the western side of the U.S. in Spokane. And that's where USC and UCLA both want to play at this moment. With USC's 2 losses, this win kind of catapults them back into the 1 seed conversation. South Carolina, because they got dominated by UCLA, and they most recently lost to Texas. I think UCLA stays on the 1 seed, but if you lose to USC again at home, that could put UCLA in a dangerous territory where Notre Dame won at USC by double figures. Notre Dame has some of the best wins in the country. The Bruins, they're a 1 seed. They should be a 1 seed. Now, another loss or 2, and that puts them dangerously from a 1 to a 2 seed, and that can make the difference between an Elite 8 run or Final Four national championship run. All right, that is what is on the line for Big Ten championship seeding purposes and how the Bruins match up going forward in the NCAA tournament. I think this matchup does happen at least 3 times, and there's a pretty strong possibility we see this game happen 4 times, and I don't know if our hearts, if our bodies, if our souls can all take this happening 3 or 4 times, this game, because it will be a battle every time. It lived up to the 1 versus 6 billing. I'm frustrated USC lost once or twice because it should have been 23-0 versus 23-0 or whatever it was, because those teams are both that good. And I'm still confident UCLA being able to beat USC at home and hopefully in a neutral court. Only time will tell if those things be true. But USC had the best player on the floor in Juju Watkins, who says, I want to win my national accolades because Caitlin Clark's gone and Juju says it's her time. And Lauren Betts is going to have to go back, work on the footwork, and the team is going to have to spend hours in the gym how to feed Lauren Betts in the post. And then Lauren Betts is going to have to work on not just turning to the side she catches the ball, working on new moves so she's not as predictable as she was on film. Those are some things UCLA needs to work on, and other Bruins have to step up. This is not a team that when they play number 1 or 2 in the country, they need the other teams, right, 2 or 3, because UCLA is 1, might still be, if not. They will need the other players to step up. That's what makes UCLA so dangerous and USC a little more vulnerable. Other Bruins can step up and did not tonight. But they won't play in such a raucous road atmosphere for the rest of the season. And they hadn't played a close game all season, and technically, in the final moments, they didn't play a close game in the final minute. Lots for UCLA to learn from this game and take to heart as to we can't turn the ball over and expect to win against USC. You will not do so. They were decent, but the Bruins did not force USC into enough turnovers, and Juju just flat out dominated. It's not that big of a gap. It's not. But on a road game where you're not going to get the calls, the physicality's there, the crowd was going crazy, UCLA was not up to the challenge for an undefeated season. And that was a tall order, a very tall order. When you have a road game at SC, a Big Ten schedule, a South Carolina game on the schedule, it was a tall order to go undefeated. Real tall order. Very few teams can go undefeated over the entire course of the season. All right, South Carolina's got 2 losses. Notre Dame's got a few losses. Texas has got 2 losses. UCLA is I still think, the deepest and most talented team in the country, but they have a glaring weakness or 2. If they can't fix it, that's the difference between the program's first NCAA championship or falling short yet again. That's what makes this season fun. The highs and the lows, and we got to learn on it. It sucks tonight. Hopefully they learn from it, and this makes them better. If it doesn't, then it's not the team to win a championship. But this team is as good, as veteran-laden as there is in the country ever playing in the UCLA era of NCAA women's basketball. This is the team that can do it, not just a Final Four, but a national championship. Just can't turn over the ball 20 freaking times. Can. All right. We'll talk more UCLA men's basketball. We'll talk them playing Indiana. We'll talk their reaction in the next episode. And, of course, always basketball, a little football here and there. Like, comment, subscribe. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA. Fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.